Hey everybody, it's Mr. Movies87 here, and today I have something a little special for y'all. My friend Elstor mentioned this on Twitter just earlier today. He was curious to hear about some of his friends' top 5 RPGs and as to why they are their favorites. So I had mentioned my top 5 to him on Twitter. Wasn't able to fit the reasons why all in one tweet because that would take like 10,000 tweets to fit all of that in. So I figured, why not do a video about it? So I threw together just a fun little collage here of pictures from my top 5 games here, going from top left to bottom right. So my order for my top 5 goes, and I racked my brain for a few minutes and got this list here, and I think, of course, for me it works pretty damn well. Number 1 being Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete. That should pretty much be a given, if you guys know me at all. Number 2 might be a surprise to be this high on the list already, Trails of Cold Steel for the PS3. Number 3 being the original Wild Arms for the PS1. Number 4 being Final Fantasy VII, and number 5 being Final Fantasy IV. So let's go into a little bit of detail as to why these are my top 5. Lunar 2, for me, and this is of course my opinion, everyone's top 5 is going to be different. If you guys want to make your own video on this, of course. But yeah, everybody's going to be different. But for me, this game is borderline perfect. I mean, it has everything I love about RPGs, right? It has a lovable, likable cast of characters that are super relatable, that grow along the course of the game. A super tremendously well-written story. The graphics, I'm not big on graphics. I mean, like, the game can look good. I don't really care otherwise. I mean, as long as I can see everything going on, that's fine. Because I will say the map for Lunar 2, kind of like that 2D, just kind of flat style or whatever, yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer. I mean, in comparison to other games that already had like full 3D maps, like Final Fantasy VII, for example. Okay, I mean, I can see like imperfections in the game. I'm not blind as to that, obviously. But still, for me, I mean, everything else, I mean, two of my favorite parts about Lunar 2 are the soundtrack and the gameplay. The soundtrack, top to bottom, is of course, one of my favorites in all of RPGs, and I love the combat system as well. It's super easy to pick up, just standard enemies on the left, people on the right, move across the battlefield with your however much range you have, and then it's a little more in depth with like spells you can use to exploit weaknesses, status elements to debuff your enemies to make fights easier, intense boss fights. Granted, though, I will say a lot of them or just the same thing over and over and over again. Like Hero, posts, or Jean dances or use items. Ronfar healing, Lamina use attack spells, blah blah blah. I mean, that's the same gist of things for most of the game, really, which is fine. You can't argue with what works. But I mean, what also, again, one of my favorite parts too is the storyline. I will say, the whole thing with Hero and Lucia, both to like end the main game and the epilogue, yeah, I teared up some. It takes a lot for me to do that in an RPG, and I have no problem admitting that. And plus, yeah, I've been playing this game for 10 plus years now, played through it multiple times. I pretty much generally do everything every single playthrough. So I'm getting like 40, 50 hours plus out of each playthrough pretty much. A game like that, to replay like that so many times over the years, that says a lot as to how good it is. And it's a game that I'll keep playing for years and years on end, I'm sure. Moving on to number 2, Trails of Cold Steel. This is a very recent entry here. This only came out December 22nd of last year, so it's only been out like a little over 4 months now. And the fact that this is already like over like Wild Arms and Final Fantasy VII, that says a lot. And I haven't played a game like Trails of Cold Steel in quite some time. Everything about it is so well done, right down to the very, very minute details. Like, let's start off, well, graphically, even though it's, again, not a major point for me, but I feel like going over it all the same. On the PS3 and the Vita, it looks really damn good, actually. With everything going on, and there are times that you're in huge cities. Frame-wise, it handles it pretty damn well. I will say there are a couple cases where there is some distinct notice of like frame droppage there. But I mean, besides that, that's a very minor thing, which I got past like no problem. But everything else, same with Lunar 2, is just so well done. The story, how it handles it, it builds tension along like each chapter. It starts off nice and light and everything. You're in your classes at Trista for the military academy at Thor's, living your normal school life, right? I mean, you play as Reen, you're a 17-year-old kid in a new school. Like, you're going to have some school aspects there, which I think are really, really cool to do. Bonding with classmates along the way, having your bonding events with them along the way, and then your, what is it? Your, not field studies, practical exams every month, which are, of course, get tougher and tougher as you go along. And then the main thing is your field studies at the end of each month. Takes you to all across the world and everything. Great for developing your characters. And then as you get further and further along, the story darkens and gets more so into the what is the terrorist group's name? I was just playing this earlier. The Reformist faction. Was that them? Oh no, that the Imperial Liberation Front. That's it. That's it. Yeah, you start to learn more about them, like in chapter 4, I believe. They start to make their appearance, and then more so in chapters 5, 6, and 7. And then your climax at the end of the game, which I don't want to spoil, because it's fucking ridiculous how the game ends. Which also, by the way, I do want to make a full video review on Trails of Cold Steel at some point. I did a video for just the ending, but I want to do one for the entire game. So that could very well be like a super long video here. But yeah, that'll be on the way sooner or later. That game is too good not for me to review, like seriously. But yeah, gameplay-wise, had a combat system that I hadn't really seen that... Well, actually, no, I've seen it in other areas before. But it is really cool how it handles. 4 people on the battlefield, you have your turn order on the left, and every now and then you have a turn bonus for whoever pops up. Like, say you have like HP plus 10% restoration, or a CP restoration, or later on you're able to add status ailments to your attack. So it adds a lot of strategy to the battles, for sure. And speaking of which, some of the battles in the game are not easy at all. Some of the battles later on against the Imperial Liberation Front are actually pretty damn hard, I will say. Granted, though, I'll be honest, my first playthrough, I just played on easy. But my idea with that is, do my first playthrough on easy, second one I'm doing right now, I'm doing it on normal. I'll do a third one, which will be on hard, and then a fourth one on nightmare, I think. So it might sound crazy to do 4 playthroughs, like, one after another. But, I mean, come on, the game is too good not to do, in my opinion. One of those games that I can't recommend enough if you have a PS3 or a Vita. I actually don't have the PS3 version yet. I got the Vita version for my birthday a few months back, because, you know me, I love handheld gaming. So that was a no-brainer for me to get. Excuse me. And yeah, I've already put in well over 100 hours into it. I just got the Trails in the Couch trophy for that, for playing over 100 hours. That's the best trophy name, like, ever, by the way. So that's pretty awesome there. But yeah, just everything down to the last detail, even all the NPCs. And as far as they go, like most RPGs, yeah, I'll talk to them mostly in other games, and be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, you say your thing or whatever. In Trails of Cold Steel, they're handled in such a way that, like, you actually care about them. You want to learn more about them. They're not just another person in the background or whatever. They're a real person that you want to learn more about. And throughout the game, they change throughout the course of the game. So they say different things, you learn more and more about them. And you even have bonding events, too, with various NPCs as well. I mean, not only your own classmates, but other people, too. So yeah, that is handled extremely well. So yeah, if you have a PS3 or a Vita, definitely get that game. I can't recommend it enough. If you're able to also get the Lionheart edition, it's only $10 more than the standard one. Gives you a really badass box for everything. A cool little Erebonian pin to wear if you want. And also a near 200-page art book that does have spoilers for Trails of Cold Steel 2. So if you haven't beaten the game yet, well, it'll tell you in the book at a certain point. So if you haven't beaten Cold Steel 1 yet, you don't want to read this because it spoils Cold Steel 2. So I won't go into that. But yeah, highly, highly recommend that game if you're able to pick it up. On to number 3, Wild Arms. This picture you may have seen me post on Twitter and Facebook the other day. This picture is actually from Gameaversary, a Twitter account that posts RPG birthdays and just video game birthdays and all that, so credit to them for the picture. I thought it was super cool, so I went ahead and used that. Yeah, Wild Arms, one of my first PS1 RPGs. I actually just had it. It's a 19th birthday in North America just yesterday. So happy birthday, Wild Arms, of course. And yeah, one of my first PS1 RPGs. I remember getting this game from one of my mom's sisters, actually. My brother and I played way, way back when. What's kind of funny about it, too, actually, we went through a handful of copies of this game because it kept freezing in Mount Zenom. We get into a battle, all three characters, Rudy, Jack, and Cecilia, would jump on screen, and then it would just stop, which was really, really annoying. We weren't able to play through the entire game for quite a while, actually. We tried doing so many different things to fix the disc, like put toothpaste around the ring to fix the scratches, or just so many other things there that kind of worked, but also kind of didn't. But yeah, we were just stuck there for a while. But yeah, a tremendously huge adventure of a game. It spans 40 hours plus, which, I mean, back then, of course, no, nowadays I will say that might not sound like a whole lot. But yeah, back then, a 40 plus hour RPG is pretty damn good, I will say. Although that's more so if you're playing it for the first time, you want to do everything. Like for me, I can cruise through the game in 20-25 hours. I could probably even go faster than that, really. But still, yeah, you're getting a lot of value out of this game. Yeah, nice, easy combat system to pick up. It's also pretty in-depth as well. You have Cecilia's sorcery to use, or crest magic, Jack's fast draws, Rudy's hand cannons. One thing I'll say that for the battle system, I never really found status ailments to be that useful. Whereas, they would add more depth to the combat in other games, like being able to debuff enemies and all that, which would add more strategy and all that, right? I never found a good use for them, so I kind of just didn't bother. I would just go more so for the brute force method, which is all well and good. I'm fine with that, really. But what I really enjoy about Wild Arms would be the story, and I think even more so than that, the music once again. So many bosses throughout the game have their own unique theme. I mean, you have this standard boss theme you hear throughout the game more often than not. You have demons fights against each demon that has their own personal theme. Boomerang, Flash, and the arena has his own theme, which is, in my opinion, one of the best songs ever. It's so damn good. Final boss themes, the theme against Mother. The list just goes on, really. Yeah, timeless classic. I can't believe it's 19 years old now, by the way. I cannot believe that. Fingers crossed for next year, 20th anniversary, a new game in the series, maybe. That would be super cool and everything. Who the fuck keeps whistling out there? This jackass out there never nods. He always whistles. Really? That's super annoying. But anyway, yeah. It's always, by the way, Wild Arms is always cheap on PSN, by the way. It goes on sale for $4 or $5 sometimes, but I think generally it's $10, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, for a game like that, for only $10, I can't recommend it enough. So if you have PSN, buy the game, give it a try. I'll give you my guarantee for it that you'll definitely like it. Moving on to number 4, this should be no surprise to anyone, really. Final Fantasy VII. I mean, what hasn't been said already about Final Fantasy VII? One of the greatest RPGs ever made for the system, and just in general, really. Still holds up today as being one of the best ever made for its ridiculously epic story, top-notch soundtrack, full 3D world, never mind the giant blocky hands and super, super thin arms, and this guy are sick. But, I mean, Final Fantasy VII, I didn't pick that up and play at any time, start a new game, and just cruise along. I mean, I'm golden with that. Though I will say, I almost kind of dread the early game, when you're still stuck in Midgar, mainly for the first, maybe hour or two. The first few sectors and all that, they're, I don't want to say boring, but it's just yeah, I kind of want to cruise through these and get, more to at least get to the Shinra Corporation. At that point, that's when the game really starts to kick into high gear, in my opinion. But yeah, before that, yeah, the first couple sectors, Wall Market, I mean, they're definitely cool and all, don't get me wrong on that. But it's just for me, yeah, I kind of want to just get through this real quick and get to the really, really good stuff. And once you reach the world map, holy shit. First time playing that, getting onto the world map, hearing the world map theme, and finally having a sense of freedom and a sense of exploring everything, it's pretty damn awesome. For being a kid back then, playing that game for the first time, you're holy shit, take a step back and just explore the world and just admire your surroundings. Now for me, I never played Final Fantasy VII right when it first came out, because it was released in 97, And I actually didn't get that until a good few years later on, actually. At least, like, to own. We would rent it from a place called Joe's Video Store, which was near our house growing up, for like a week at a time or whatever. But of course, we could never beat it in just a week's time. But a friend of mine got it for my birthday, I think for my 11th or 12th birthday, actually. I think I told the story once before. We had a rec basketball game one night. We were on the same team, and my party was going to be after the game. And he told me, "Oh, by the way, I got you this for your birthday." And I was like super excited. So we finished the game. We get home, have the party. Like me and a few friends were over there. Started up a new file, and it was a grand old time. Like everyone just sitting back and watching while I was playing. I mean, pretty much like days before Twitch TV and Justin TV, I had like almost like live streaming a game for people to watch. Now, I still also remember too with that. You could of course change the config for the game, but O was accept and X was cancel, which of course I was normally used to having X be accept and O be cancel, so I had to kind of tinker with that to figure it out, to change it to how I was comfortable with. But I mean, a huge three-disc adventure, one of the biggest deaths in RPG history as well. I mean, it's not really a spoiler. We should all know this by now. And Sephiroth kills Eris. Like, OMG, he does that. He does what? But no, like, I mean, there were deaths in Final Fantasy before, right? With Tella, with Minwu, with Galuf. That one sucks, by the way. But I think this one, out of all of them, definitely hit the hardest for many, many people. I mean, we've all heard and seen the rumors to bring Eris back and all that. Like, you can hack in it with the Game Shark to bring her back throughout Disc 3. All the good stuff there. And the story was just completely mind-blowing back then. Which, I mean, we all know how it goes. So, pretty much what I'm saying about this is not really moots, but I mean, we've all heard it before. I mean, come on now. No need to beat around the bush. Final Fantasy VII, I mean, never mind the fanboys and all that. I don't care for that. I mean, I play the game because I like it. I don't give a shit about what other people, like whatever. I don't care. I'll play a game because I like said game. Simple as that. I don't let a fandom or a fan base ruin it for me. Simple as that. But again, yeah, we all know Final Fantasy VII. We've all played it. We pretty much all love it. I'm sure people, of course, not everyone will love the game. And I'm just saying, generally speaking, we all know and love it. So just to make myself clear there. And then lastly, for my number 5 game, Final Fantasy IV. This was one of my first Final Fantasy games, actually. I think, actually, let me think here real quick. I never played the original Final Fantasy when I was on the NES, I don't think. Final Fantasy II on the Super Nintendo. Excuse me. Yeah, I put a ton of time into this back then. Another game that we would rent for a while to play, and weren't ever able to beat because the short time frame. We actually would get this from a grocery store near our grandparents' house, actually, while growing up there. It had a video game store like inside of it as well, which back then was super cool. Yeah, I think all the farther we were able to get was like up to like Mylon and Mylon Z on Manor Deals. Never able to get past that while growing up, which kind of sucks because after that, that's when the game really kicks into high gear as well. But I mean, yeah, it kind of holds a special place in my heart, also being my first Final Fantasy game and all that. And of course, it's numerous amount of ports. I mean, the Super Nintendo original, the PS1, the Famicom, the Game Boy Advance, the PSP, the DS, Steam, iOS, the list just goes on. But I mean, people love Final Fantasy IV, and I always do as well. Especially the PSP version of the game. That's my personal favorite one, because well, for one thing, it looks super good for a PSP game, being like remodeled and all that from Super Nintendo. I think my favorite part about it, and gameplay story-wise is all good, but I think my personal favorite thing about it is auto battle. All you do, you press select, speeds up battles to super fast levels, and you just do auto attack. You can use that to cruise through a lot of the game, really, which makes it just super fun just to casually play, just cruise through for a while. And for me too, doing a solo Cecil run, which I've done before, for that you need to do a lot of leveling to get by that. And auto battle is immensely helpful for that. You just walk back and forth. Auto battle takes care of the rest. You hardly ever need a heal, really, while level grinding. So that's all well and good there. But yeah, Final Fantasy IV will always hold a spot in my heart as being one of my favorite games ever. Of course, it's on my top 5, so obviously it would be. But yeah, also for really being one of my first Final Fantasy games as well. Okay, so I think there's that, guys. Hopefully, also you guys enjoyed my little collage of pictures here. Kind of just threw together some pictures I found online for each game here in such a way to like organize them. I think it looks okay. I mean, you can see what each game is, of course. So I mean, yeah, I'm not techno savvy enough to like make some super fancy wallpaper background or whatever. That's just not me. But hey, I think for this, it works. That's not even a major deal anyway. That's not the key point of the video anyhow. So there you go. But yeah, if you guys want to send your top 5, make a video or a comment about it, let me know. And I'd be more than happy to read them. And thanks again to L-Store for the idea of doing this. He mentioned on Twitter, like I said earlier today, about that, so hence why I was doing this video here. And with that, guys, hopefully y'all enjoyed. And with that, this has been Mr. Moves87 signing off. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.